Moody, and I turn left on Franklin, let's say, okay, there's no sign that says it's 25, but I know that on 7 it's 45.
Have audio. So this is 6:31. Our meeting has come back to order, and I think everything's up and running. So we're going to finish off this, get this going here. So Mr. Arnold, we was in your court here, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Code enforcement, building inspections, and permitting November 2022 report. Number of code enforcement cases worked was 128 cases. 8 dangerous buildings, 1 dog at large, 1 dog on a chain, 7 no permits, 50 high grass and weeds, 9 junk vehicles, 2 living in RV, 48 rubbish, 1 septic system, and 1 skirting underpinning. Number of permits issued for the month of November was only 3, 1 for a driveway, a roof, and a sidewalk. Burn permits for that month was 12. Inspections, we only had 5 inspections that month. FEMP, which is framing, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. Insulation, framing rough, waterline rough, and a roof. And I put 23 hours towards facility maintenance for that month. Just a few things I would like to say for my goals for 2023. I'm working on a rental registration, standard operating procedures for permits and inspections, individual permit forms for more detailed permits, separating them versus a fence, a shed, etc. I'm working on animal control, volunteers, and standard operating procedure. I've been in touch with the Danny, and we're going to, when she's up and running, I'll have a place to take animals that have expired. And I need help from the city residents. If you see an animal on the street, you got to give me a call. I mean, I try my best to cruise around and find them before they become a problem, and I'll take care of that. Also working with our city administrator, Kent, on software for code, permits, inspection, animal control. Those are some of the goals for 2023. Any questions?
I think that pretty well covers it, sir.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, ma'am.
All right. City Administrator's Report, Kent Martin.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Can everybody hear me okay out there? Just double checking. Okay, so for starters here on my administrator's report, we're just wrapping up the financial audit required each and every year. Our firm, they finished up all their on-site work December 16th, 2022. We just got a preliminary and tentative report that came to my email inbox this week, just reviewing that. There's a few minor corrections we're gonna request. Then we'll pass that back off to them, get everything finalized, and hopefully bring that to council either at the 26th meeting or at the February meeting for your review. Okay, on the sewer system, so like I've mentioned several times before, we're still on track for the spring closing, according to the conversations that I've had with both our bond counsel and our USDA loan officer. Next step in this process is tonight. We're gonna have an ordinance later on in the agenda. We're gonna be approving the notice that will go into the newspaper and kick off a two-step process for approving certificates of obligation for the sewer system. This was done back in the past in 2021. However, due to the delay getting to this point, the timelines in the loan have been significantly impacted. And so in order for us to take advantage of the interest-free portion of that loan, bond counsel advised us to redo that. So we'll do that immediately tomorrow. Pam and I are going to work on getting this notice put in the paper should it be passed tonight. And then after that, all the documents for the bond revisions will go over to USDA, and that will then kick off the 30 to 90-day review of all of our legal documents. So everything should be lining up for a March or April closing of the sewer loan, at least for this first portion of our funding. Second on here, we've got the infrastructure committee report. Just kind of wanted to give everybody an update on our first meeting that we had, December the 19th. We had a couple members that council gave me the authority to appoint there. So just to put it on record, Mr. Mark Fowler was appointed to that one, and Mrs. Ginger Talbert. At our initial meeting, we discussed some issues that we found in the recently completed water system analysis report conducted by our city engineer. Committee members were pretty much all agreement that we needed to give some attention to the moratorium out in Falls County, address the water line issues that we have out that way. We're looking currently at the base bones estimate, and then also trying to plan a little bit for growth. And so I'm working to get some rough estimates with our city engineer to bring back to the committee for consideration. We also talked about some of our community development block grant project ideas. We did a little bit of brainstorming on just what all we could be able to touch with all the restrictions that grant poses to us. And we hope to be following up on that one as well. Second report here is for our street committee. We last met on December the 6th for this committee. We had a vacancy during this time, but the work continued. We reviewed our city engineer's right-of-way map. We threw it right up here on the big screen, and we took a good look over all the different streets that were going to be impacted by the sewer system installation, and it was significant. It was almost all of them. However, there were a few areas where we could address some street repairs, and so the committee selected a new list of priority streets. And right now what we're exploring some quotes on from 3 separate vendors, including McLennan County, is repairing Archie Lane and Mesquite Street, excluding the unimproved portion over there, Temple Street and Osborne Street, Crescent Creek Lane, Horseshoe Bend, only at the intersection of Old Moody Road. So I hope to get some more information back in the coming days before our next committee meeting that will take place on January the 12th. Be able to give them some soft numbers, see if we can execute some of these repairs with the money we have budgeted for the year. All right, a couple more things for you here. Development, on December the 7th, staff hosted an initial staff conference with Tabor and Associates and RSK Engineering to discuss needs and process specifics relating to a project that we will call the Bruceville-Eddy Travel Center. So there's a section down in Falls County within the corporate limits of the city of Bruceville-Eddy. Individual property owner is looking at having someone design a travel center out there. Plans have been submitted. These are preliminary plans. After that meeting, I provided the firm with just to see if they want to move forward with that one. And then lastly here, it's not on the report, but I just kind of wanted to mention that I'm still exploring some funding options for a citywide mass notification system for a siren. It's not as easy as I'd like it to be unless we had money just growing on trees, which we don't. So anyways, that concludes mine. Any questions out there on any of that stuff from anybody?
No, I think that pretty well covers it, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, number 9, acceptance of resignation, city attorney. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action to accept the resignation of the city's currently appointed city attorney, Mr. Neil Perkle of the law firm Naaman, Howell, Smith and Lee, PLLC, effective January the 5th of 2023.
So moved.
Yeah, Mr. McGrew?
Well, you're asking for a motion on that?
Well, yeah, you wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion
That what?
that we
Accept his
accept his
Okay.
resignation. Yeah.
And Mr. Bass seconds it, that we accept the resignation of our, of the city currently appointed city attorney, Mr. Neil Perkle of the law firm Naaman, Howell, Smith and Lee, PLLC, effective January the 5th. We have a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Excuse me. Number 10. Okay, appointment of new city attorney. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on resolution 1-5-2023-1 of the city council to appoint the law firm of Mercer, Fort, and McDonald PLLC as city attorney, and the agreement thereto designated for Mr. Brad E. Bullock of said firm as a municipal officer, city attorney. Okay, sorry. Yes, Mr. Bass?
I move that we approve resolution number 1-5-2023-1, which will be appointing the law firm Messer
Fort.
McDonald, especially with Mr. Bullock.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. Further seconds? All in favor? Unanimous. Congratulations, sir. Okay. Now, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do the swearing in. Get myself up. Yes, sir. All right, I guess I need to have you raise your, here we go. Just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contribute, or promise to contribute any money or things of value. Yeah, make money, things of value. Or promise any public office of employment for the giving. Or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward. As I was elected or as a reward. To secure my appointment. Or confirmation. Whichever the case may be. So help me God. one more.
Try not to butcher that too bad.
I'm sorry, I should have broke it off, but when I get winded, I try to finish it out here. Okay. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I, Bradford Bullock,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office to the best of my
and will to the best of my
ability,
ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I need to get your signature, I believe,
Yes.
and, you sign and then I'll sign. Is that Mister? Okay. That's the note,
This is it. Okay.
but that's where I sign.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you want me to swear, sign it down here? Okay.
Right there.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you, sir, and, pleased to have you.
Yep. No.
Yes, sir. You are excused.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much. Yes,
Have a good
sir.
night.
Yes, sir. Okay. Adoption of a CDBG Code of Conduct. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on Resolution 1-5-2023-4 for the purpose of selecting an administration services provided for project-related administration/project delivery service for a 2023/2024 CDBG grant for the city of Bruceville-Eddy.
So just to clarify for everybody, so we've moved on to item number 13, so we're gonna go ahead and adopt the CDBG Code of Conduct.
Oh,
First, yeah, we went to
Yes.
13. We moved 13 up to above
okay,
11.
Yes.
okay.
So I'll just read this Code of Conduct as we're required to do so. So as a grant recipient of the Texas Community Development contract, the city of Bruceville-Eddy shall avoid, neutralize, and mitigate actual or potential conflicts of interest so as to prevent an unfair competitive advantage or the existence of conflicting roles that might impair the performance of a Texas Community Development Block Grant contract or impact the integrity of the procurement process. For the procurement of goods and services, no employee, officer, or agent of the city of Bruceville-Eddy should participate in the selection, award, or administration of a contract supported by Texas Community Development Block Grant funds if he or she has a real or apparent conflict of interest. Such a conflict could arise if the employee, officer, or agent, any member of his or her immediate family, his or her partner, or an organization which employs or is about to employ any of the parties enacted herein, has a financial or other interest in or a tangible personal benefit from a firm considered for contract. No officer, employee, or agent of the city of Bruceville-Eddy shall solicit or accept gratuities, favors, or anything of monetary value from contractors or firms, potential contractors or firms, or parties to sub-agreements, except where the financial interest is not substantial or the gift is an unsolicited item of nominal intrinsic value. Contractors that develop or draft specifications, requirements, statements of work, or invitations for bids or requests for proposals must be excluded from competing for such procurements. For all other cases, no employee, agent, consultant, officer, or elected or appointed official of the state or the unit of government of local government or of any designated public agencies or subrecipients which are receiving these funds that has any CDBG function or responsibility or is in a position to participate in a decision-making process or gain inside information may obtain a financial interest or benefit from the Texas Community Development Block Grant activity. The conflict of interest restrictions and procurement requirements identified herein shall apply to a benefiting business, utility provider, or other third-party entity that is receiving assistance, directly or indirectly, under a Texas Community Development Block Grant contract or award, or that is required to complete some or all of the work under the Texas Community Development Block Grant contract in order to meet a national program objective. Any person or entity, including any benefiting business, utility provider, or other third-party entity that is receiving assistance directly or indirectly under the Texas Community Development Block Grant contract or award, or that is required to complete some or all the work under this contract in order to meet a national program objective that might potentially receive benefits from these awards may not participate in the selection, award, or administration of a contract supported by this funding. One more paragraph to go. Any alleged violations of these standards of conduct shall be referred to the city attorney's office. Where violations appear to have occurred, the offending employee, officer, or agent shall be subject to disciplinary action, including but not limited to dismissal or transfer. Where violations or infractions appear to be substantial in nature, the matter may be referred to the appropriate officials for criminal investigation or possible prosecution. There's a lot of hoops to go through to get some of that federal money, so there you go. There is the code of conduct for your consideration.
Do we have any discussions or anything on that before we go to 11? Yes, sir, Mr. Bass?
That's all a lot of stuff, but if I understand it, what we're talking about now is actually approving, applying for a loan from this CDBG, not a loan.
This code of
Well,
conduct.
this the
And
code
then
of
later, we're gonna select someone to actually do that for us, right?
Yes, so
For
we
the
will,
sum of $40,000.
so tonight we will be considering those folks who are gonna be working as a part of, submitting an application for this grant, but are, yes.
We have to have a resolution to actually get started to apply for it, right?
That's correct, to make these selections.
And
to
we
begin
haven't
the work.
decided yet exactly if we get a grant, how much it'll be and what we're gonna do with it.
That's correct.
Probably water, but we can do just about anything with it, or is there a stipulation?
There's a lot of
There's
different
a-
restrictions
yeah,
on it, for sure.
restrictions on
And it's one of those things that you're kind of taking a gamble because you can only make one application submission, per round. And HotCog, the regional authority, that helps review these applications and approve, has said that their priorities for the region are water and sewer infrastructure upgrades. So I would like to work with our infrastructure planning committee, and the mayor to come up with a project that will
Yeah, okay.
help us get approved
But
for
you
that.
actually came up with this idea yourself, right?
No, sir.
Somebody came to you with it?
Oh, yeah.
They brought it.
Multiple folks. Our city engineer, kind of pressed us to move forward with a community development block grant. So yes, sir, this is coming from several different
Several.
folks who said we should get an application.
But this is just for the code of
Yeah.
conduct.
This is
Right
just
now,
for the
what
code
we're
of
doing
conduct.
is code of conduct.
Yeah, we're
Right.
just doing the code of conduct right now.
This is just one of those, many tasks that we would need to do in order to submit a solid application for, consideration. So, they recommend you, talking about this code of conduct, adopting it, and then adhering to it throughout the process.
Right.
Well, if we can get this, it sure would be nice.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, Mr. Wiggins?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 1-5-2023-4, code of conduct.
All right.
I'll second.
All right, Fraser seconded. All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, number 11. Selection of administration services for proposed CDBG project. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on, y'all gonna have to, I can't. Can you finish? Sure. I'm gonna step back real quick.
Yes, absolutely. So, number 11, authorizing administrative services provider for project-related administration and project delivery services for a 2023-2024 CDBG grant for the city of Bruceville-Eddy. All right, so number 11 here you'll see that this took up a big portion of our agenda packets. As required by TDA, we established a three-member committee, and that was comprised of myself, Mr. James Talbert, who just got off a stint here on council, and then the mayor. As required, at least one of those members had to be elected, and of course that was the mayor on that one. We sent out a solicitation for administration services for this block grant. It's a very complicated process, and so while you don't technically have to have somebody as an administrative service provider for this one, unless you have full-time dedicated staff, I think it would just be very, very challenging to get a successful application in on time and with as much information as being requested of us. So we did receive, we sent out a solicitation for 5 different firms for administration services. We received 3 proposals back in. Those proposals came from GrantWorks, from Langford, and also from Public Management. As you remember, Public Management came out and spoke to us a little bit before, helped answer some general questions about the community development block grant process. And so we sat down as a committee and we scored these different companies on several different criteria, and this is the recommendation of the committee. And I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Just a comment on it. I've read through this contract, and basically what it amounts to is $500,000 is what we're trying to look at here, and for a fixed fee of 8%, which is $40,000. And there is a clause, it's section number 7, it states that if they don't receive it, then we don't have to, in the event that grant funds are not awarded to the client, this agreement shall be terminated by the client. And so it's contingent upon getting the award. And so I like that. I like everything that I see about it. There is some different fees involved if it comes to that. So I don't foresee anything. I mean, we don't know at this time if there's, do we know of any rate adjustment at this time?
For this firm?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay.
I don't think it discusses any rate adjustments in there. It just gives you a fixed rate, so it'll be a modification of the contract
Well,
to adjust the rates.
well, the rates I'm talking about
Yeah,
is
there's a
in
list.
that
The block-
attachment 2.
Yeah,
You know, where it says that this rate schedule will be applicable through December 31st, 2022. However, it says in January 2023, if increases are necessary due to increases in wage or other salary-related costs, the rate shown will be adjusted accordingly. That's the rates I'm talking about.
yeah, and I
So,
think,
do we know of any that's changed from this year current right now?
No, sir. I
Yeah.
haven't been informed of any rate adjustment.
Okay, all right.
so if we approve it, we can approve it contingent upon the rates listed in the proposal without change. In other words, we're accepting the rates they offered in the proposal, and if it's gonna change, then we have to kind of consider what the changes would be.
Well, but yeah, but by the contract, the way the contract reads is, they're telling you, here's the rates that we're gonna guarantee through December 31st, 2022. After that, in 23, they could change.
So
They're telling you that they might change, but they'll let us know, obviously, of any changes, and we have to adhere to those changes.
Probably depends on the feds if they go up again on interest rates, which they probably will.
So I can't necessarily speak to whether or not they'll adjust any of their rates, but I can speak to the fact that their fees are regulated by the federal government and I think by TDA as well. So When they put this proposal before us, it's all, contingent upon just how much of award we make. Like you
Right.
said earlier, it's only if we get selected to have an award that we would end up paying anything. And out of that, we would be paying out of the grant for these administration services. Now, there could be a couple costs here and there that may come outside of the scope for something we might request, maybe some additional information, something like that. But I'm guessing it would be pretty minimal. Now, just to put it on the record again, the Community Development Block Grant will have a minimum matching fee. The city will have to pay out of pocket anywhere from 5 to 15%, I believe it is, depending on what project we end up selecting, which that's something we'll all get to kind of have a part in selecting. And then I think how many folks that project is affecting that are in the low to moderate income range. That's my understanding of it.
And also they have, if you look at the information they sent, which was a lot, but they have many cities that
Yeah.
they've gotten a lot of money for. So,
I think it was over 75% or so that they have going for their award. That was definitely something I
Yes.
looked at.
so they're very qualified, and it'd be my recommendation that, and my motion that we accept the resolution number 1-5-2023-2 with the Public Management Incorporated.
Okay, Wiggins. All right, Wiggins and Bass seconds it. All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Thank y'all for filling in for me there.
Absolutely.
I didn't know if I was
Is
gonna,
that
okay.
item 16?
No, we're going to number 12. That was number 11, right?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't look on that one. So we're gonna do number 12. Selection of engineering services for proposed CDBG project. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on resolution 1-5-2023-3 for the purpose of selecting and authorizing an engineer service firm to provide applications and project-related engineering and design services for a 2023/2024 CDBG grant for the city of Bruceville-Eddy.
All right, thank you, Mayor, once again. Danielle, would you mind moving on a few more slides there to bring up 5M Associates? So the same committee that sat down and reviewed the administration portion of this application and project also sat down and reviewed the two engineering firms that submitted a request for qualifications. So just a little background on this one. We solicited 6 different engineering firms directly, and then we also published the notice in the paper as we were required to do so by law. The 2 submissions that came in were very comparable. It was a very close decision that the committee came up with within the margin of 1 or 2 points on our scoring system. But the committee did recommend that 5M Associates be the engineer for the Community Development Block Grant project, and that's contingent upon our administration firm that we just appointed being able to work out an agreeable cost with that.
Yeah, it was a very real close thing. We're very close, real tight. So is anybody, Mr. Wiggins?
You know, again, I've looked at this in detail, great detail, and of course, we all know the engineer we have, Johnny Tabor. Don't have nothing against him. He's been working for this city for a long time. Yes, he has. But I do think that maybe it's time to branch out and this, Mr. Murrah, his firm, boy, he's, on paper here, he's done a lot of things. and he's worked for a lot of done a lot of work for a lot of different cities. And so I would sure like to try him out. And then we have, you know, it gives us a different perspective, different set of eyes on the situation. And we're not just tied to one engineer. Nothing against Johnny, but we're just not tied to one.
Yeah, we're not taking anything away from our engineer we have now.
Right.
He's still involved in our sewer.
But we're opening other doors
We're
for us.
opening other doors and
And
stuff.
so with that said, I would like to approve resolution number 1-5-2023-3, where we're approving that 5M Associates out of Granger, Texas, Mr. Murrah group.
Okay, and Mr. Bass seconded. Do y'all have any questions for, the gentleman is here with us tonight. If y'all have any
Mr.
questions
Murrah.
for him whatsoever?
I think your
All right.
work speaks for itself, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm so sorry for this. All right. Okay, Jeans. Tell us about Friendly Oaks.
Okay, so, a lot of y'all are aware, we've had Friendly Oaks well repaired in 2020, and it cost us $77,000 to
Yeah.
replace several joints of pipe and check valves, pump and motor. Well, during, what was it, Christmas Eve, 2 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from the pump station, low water. So I'll go over there, try to turn the well on hand. I got nothing. So I went out and bypassed that plant, sent water from here to the pump station on out, so everybody's got water. Had an electrician come out, and he said there's a transformer, I don't see a picture up there, but I've got one on my phone, that is obsolete, and a lot of stuff in that electrical panel is old and outdated. So they recommended, they gave me a bid to find one like they had, or repair that one for $3,500 to $4,000, or go with a brand new soft start for that well for $5,000. I told him, because the way everything has to be ordered, I did take it upon myself, told him to order the parts we needed, because I've got to have that well back. So if something happens, it's on me. Then Jurgensen's came out and they pulled everything, and the pump and, well, the motor is bad. They're gonna test the pump. If the pump's still pumping at the capacity it was, we're gonna reuse it. But if it started lagging, then while we got it out, we might well put a new one in and not have to, you know, have that pump go out in a year or two. So, with that said, the bid for Jurgensen's to replace everything there is $54,804, plus $5,000 for Alliance Electric Group to replace the electrical panel with a soft start. Yes, sir.
About 2 years ago when we did all that, you remember the mess they left? All the sand?
No, that was the people that painted the tanks
Yeah.
and stuff. This, not the well guys, not the well guys.
I started saying we don't,
No, the well guys, they clean up after themselves and everything.
okay.
So, that's what I've got on Friendly Oaks well. Now, Westridge well, let's see, Christmas Eve, day before Christmas Eve, we got a phone call from Blue Bonnet. One of their raw water booster pumps went out, so they left them with one. So we had to shut down. So that's okay, we'll run Westridge, 90 gallons a minute, at least that'll get us by, you know, until they can come up. Come to find out we wasn't pumping no water out of our well. So I contacted Blue Bonnet and they allowed us to take half of what we normally do until that Monday after Christmas, and then they let us go back to full capacity. So Westridge well is down, but Westridge only pumps 90 gallons a minute. Friendly Oaks pumps over 400 gallons a minute. There's 350 gallons a minute, and that's my main focus is Friendly Oaks right now. When they come put Friendly Oaks back together, I can see if they can come over to Westridge and pull that and give us a price on repairs there. But the reason I didn't do it that way is they had, Robinson had a well down, and, they said they done pulled 4 wells since Christmas.
And we have 3 down since for Christmas that day, that
2.
weekend? 2 for that
Yeah,
weekend.
both of our wells, but we were able to take half of what we normally would from Blue Bonnet. But now we're back taking 100%.
Right.
And everybody, I'll just speak, I got a couple comments on this one too. Mr. Wiggins, did you have one for Gene real quick?
No, go ahead, I was gonna make a motion.
Okay. Danielle, if you'll go back a couple on that one, get me back to, yep, right there. Okay, just to kind of reflect on everything, we've got a current budget this year for $60,000 for well repairs. Depending on how much work we do, we may require amendment to this line item. Ultimately, at the core of these issues, the folks from Jurgensen, they said that we're having some issues with the intake of power that we're getting out there. It's what they're referring to as unbalanced power. I am not an electrician. A lot of this goes over my head for just putting it out there. But it's resulting in the motor overheating, which motors don't like that apparently. But their team is available tonight to answer any of the questions that they have, and they can explain that a lot better. Just want to put that out there for council if they need some more information. But then lastly, Friendly Oaks, this plant is our 3rd largest water source behind Blue Bonnet and behind Tolver plant.
All right. Mr. Wiggins?
Well, we spent over $77,000 on that well, Friendly Oaks, over 2 years ago. But, if it's out, it's out. We have to have the water, no question. So, I would like to discuss a little bit about, I think one reason maybe Gene didn't have them guys, why, to me, it makes sense, while they're already here, pulling the Friendly Oaks, let's send them to Westridge and have them go ahead and do that. But there's a money issue. If they charge $3,000 for each well, then that might go over the allotted amount. So I think we need to fix that, so I'd like to do 2 things. First, I'd like to make a motion to spend the money to fix the Friendly Oaks well not to exceed $60,000.
Okay, 60,000.
And then second motion is gonna be, that any future well repairs needed, that we authorize the city administrator to administer the funds needed to obtain an estimate for the repairs of the well or wells. And then that will take that $3,000 out of the equation.
So we'll take up each motion one at a time. So that first motion.
Okay.
Yeah, the first motion, yes, ma'am, we can go ahead and
Okay, let's, separate.
handle that, and then I'll reread this, or
Okay.
I can give it to Pam.
That's it. Okay, Mr. McGruer seconded?
That's the first.
That's on the first one, okay, all right. We're gonna do the Friendly Oaks, Westgate Water Plant, to
Not to
repair it, not to
exceed.
exceed $60,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Now you wanna go with number 2?
Yes, ma'am, that's, motion number 2 is gonna be that any future well repairs needed, that we authorize the city administrator to administer the funds needed to obtain an estimate for the repairs of the well or wells.
Okay, I have a second already. All right, okay, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, there you go, Gene. Mr. Bass seconded it.
And-
Seconded it.
And one other thing I'd like to say is to Gene is that, Gene, you know, don't think for 1 minute that we don't up here have faith in you to do what's right, and we know that you're only gonna do what's needed to be done.
Right.
And so it's very important that you know that we have faith in you.
And that's why I kept, you know, talked to Mr. Chris over at Jurgensen's. Hey, can you give me a quote? Because, you know, I wanted
Right.
some numbers tonight, not saying, oh, they just pulled it, I'm waiting on, you know, to see if the pump come back good or not. But just go ahead and give me a price as needing everything, and then if we don't, then that just saves us that much more money.
And then we
Right.
had the special meeting called to do that, and then we had too many people out sick
Right.
with COVID, so couldn't do it, so it was,
And-
we all decided yes.
And I do think that we probably need to go ahead and fix that well, that,
West
West Ridge, yes.
So, Danielle, if you'll move forward to the West Ridge section, we'll talk a little bit
Please.
about that well, since we have it on the agenda. So I don't think Gene mentioned this one yet, but we have had an electrician come out to this, plant, and they have confirmed that there is an issue with the pump and the motor. Of course, we already addressed the reason why we didn't have that pump pulled, right? It wasn't necessarily within our full authority. We had other priorities to address at this time. We wanted it to bring it before council, so council had that action. So what we're recommending on this one is if you would just go ahead and make another motion and authorize us to go ahead and pull this pump and begin all of the diagnosis on it needed to come back with a quote at the January 26th meeting.
I think that's what they voted on, give you the authority to do that.
So y'all, okay.
Yes.
Y'all okay
That-
with me moving
that's-
forward on that?
And that's from, to me, that's from now on.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, that's just an estimate for the repairs.
Yes.
Right.
Is what we voted on.
Good to go.
So,
Right.
and I would recommend, encourage, if two of y'all wanna give me a call next week and come out and we can go to each one of them and everybody, you know, take a look at these electrical panels and how outdated everything is in there, then I'm more than welcome to, you know, show everybody around. I'm not, you know, if y'all wanna come look, I'd be glad for y'all to.
Yeah.
So y'all can see when I say, hey, the electrician said it's gonna be $5,000 and, you know, I can point it to you and show you. You know,
Yeah.
cause that transformer apparently has got one bad leg on it that's going into low voltage and stuff, so.
Well, I trust what you tell us.
Thank you, Gene.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
All right, number 15, vehicle purchases. Public Works Director Gene Powell, at the request of the Budget Committee, the council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on the purchase of a truck for the Public Works Department in an amount not to exceed $50,000 using budget funds from the water fund.
Okay, so, y'all remember a couple of months ago, we found this pickup, said $45,005. I was headed to look at it. Well, when I contacted them, they emailed me a bid or a price for $57,612.10. So I let it go. It's a no, we canceled the special meeting, everything. And then I got on line again and I talked to the fleet sales manager. Same truck. It's the identical truck. She quoted me a price of $49,862.21 for the bed, everything just like it says. So I got it down from 57 to 49. I don't know. It does not have a diesel engine. It's got the 3-year, 36-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain, and 5-year roadside assistance on it. That's what they've got listed on the window sticker. Now, if I hadn't been down there or anything, I've just been emailing her and got the pricing and everything from her. But as far as anywhere else in Texas trying to find a truck, I think I was in North Carolina looking on the computer here recently. So, and that's a single cab, pick up F-250, so it can pull the mini excavator that we do have now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're using it.
We have a motion, Mr. Wiggins?
I did see where they give $6,600 in the government pricing
Mhm.
concession, so we're good on that. We had that in our budget for, we put it in the budget to have a truck. And so I'll make the motion that we purchase this, truck in amount not to exceed 50,000, using budgeted funds.
Prater seconds it. Okay. All in favor of the council to purchase the vehicle not to exceed over 50,000 for the water works? All in favor? Unanimous.
Alright.
Thank you,
Is
gentlemen.
that the actual truck there?
Excuse me?
Is that the actual?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I
Congratulations.
think there was another picture, I don't know if it's on there or not, but y'all can pass it around, that's the.
Yeah, I've got pictures.
You got both of them?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you.
I think we need that.
Oh, yeah. All right, number 16, regulation of sex offenders residency, Chief Michael Dorsey. Council to discuss, consider, and party take action on ordinance 1-5-2023-2, amending the code ordinance of the city of Bruceville-Eddy by creation of offense, exception, evidentiary, I can't even see now, matters, affirmative defense, and exemptions relating to residency requirements of registered sex offenders. Chief?
Thank you, ma'am. I just asked the council to consider and possibly approve this ordinance. I feel like it'll definitely be a benefit, and help keep our community safe.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wiggins?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1-5-2023-2.
I'll second.
About the regulation of sex offenders.
Okay. And Mr. Prater seconded.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor? Unanimous. There you go, Chief.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief, for your hard work.
Yes, sir.
17, open burning ordinance revision, shoot. I had no fault.
Okay.
Okay.
What's
All right.
what kind of revisions?
It says, at the request of the Mayor Owens and Councilman Wiggins, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on revisions to the city of Bruceville-Eddy opens burning ordinance.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. So on this one here, don't have anything specific that we're looking to change just yet. I wanted to open up the air, solicit some feedback on our current burning ordinance, talk a little bit about some of the issues that we've had and why we're looking to dig up this portion of our code. So this ordinance hasn't been touched since 2012, and I couldn't tell you exactly what was amended at that time. It could have been something big, it could have been something minor. But I've gotten a request from Councilmember Wiggins, the mayor, to adjust some things in here, and I think they'll speak to their individual concerns. But I've also heard from the general public. I've heard from staff members. Myself and the code enforcement officer and Chief Dorsey have talked about this one a little bit. So we're looking to kind of set some more structure to this ordinance. There's other cities around that have a little bit more bones to their wording. Give some greater definition as to specifically, at minimum, what constitutes an open flame. That's something that we've kind of struggled with internally as staff and trying to regulate that. And so council's guidance on what that ends up being, would be of great help. My recommendation here is just to collect that information tonight, speak it over with the city attorney, look for just kind of a boilerplate ordinance that's out there, and then take that and kind of craft it. But I'm looking at a full overhaul to this burning ordinance. Of course, we'll also talk it over with the fire chief as well, but I welcome all of your comments on this one.
Okay.
Mr. Wiggins?
Yes, ma'am. On the burn permit itself, Mr. Arnold, it talks about, it says this permit card must be displayed in a position visible from the street at all times during date of burn. Now, I don't agree with that, and here's why. Because in our section, what is section is that? Section 5.03.003, under restrictions, item number 4, it says any burn permit obtained from the city in conjunction with this article shall be made available to the requesting party throughout the burning process. So, to me, when I get a burn permit, this right here, you're telling me it's gotta be displayed where it can be seen from the street at all times. Now, sometimes that might be impossible.
I agree. And it's there so that the officer on patrol drives by and sees somebody burning, but then they say, okay, they got a permit, so they just keep rolling.
Yeah, but there again, sir, on item number 9 of that same statute, it says that prior to the day upon which an open fire is proposed to occur, the city police department must be placed on notice of such fire by way of receiving a copy of the approved permit by the city secretary or representative of same hand delivered. So the day before, they're gonna know they're gonna be burning over at this street here. So I just don't need this, I don't think we need to have this where it needs to be displayed at all times and seen from the street. I don't believe. Well, they're gonna know, the police is gonna know it's there, and we already have something in place that says if you're the citizen and you wanna see that burn permit, then you request to them to see it, and they're supposed to show it to you. So I don't see no need to have this displayed at all times, because it's gonna be hard to sometimes display. Maybe sometimes when people burn, it might be raining a little bit, and this thing's gonna get wet, or then they're gonna have to cover it.
It's displayed from inside the house.
I'm sorry?
It's displayed from inside the house.
But some,
Well, it says it must be displayed in a position visible from the street at all times. If it's visible from the street, if it's displayed in the house, I might not be able to see it. Maybe their house is back off the curb.
That's a possibility.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, and it's simply there to help not just officials, but residents that drive by. If they see the permit, they're less likely to call and say there's a fire.
Well, my concern is for the person that doesn't have it displayed where it can be seen at all times. I do not want that person to get in trouble. That's my concern. And therefore, I don't think it needs to be on there.
I'll be more than happy to sit down and rewrite the permit.
Okay.
So-
And
Well, Mr. Wiggins, I was just gonna say on that one, like you mentioned, that one's not in our ordinance.
No.
That it has to be displayed at all times. That's something I'm sure staff created at some point. I don't think that was either of us, right?
No, sir, I
No.
copied it off of the other one.
Not you, I know
Right.
it wasn't me. But anyways, that's something that we can definitely discuss
yeah,
removing.
that's
internally.
my only concern is
We're
I
not-
don't want someone else to get in trouble because it says they're supposed to display it,
Sure.
and yet they didn't.
I don't think we
So,
have any
I
authority
don't-
to enforce that
yes.
otherwise.
Okay, so we're gonna take that part off.
Gene, you have a question?
Yeah, real quick on permit, if you drive
Gene, would you mind coming up to the mic on that one so the folks online can hear you?
Somebody drives by and sees a permit and they don't think it's safe, call the fire department. If I'm at work, I'm gonna go in my work truck and they've already got people going to the station. I can cancel them, say, hey, it's a controlled burn, don't worry about it. So I encourage you, if you see smoke, call, because one day it may not be a controlled burn and you just drive by and think it is.
Right.
So just call us.
Well, on another note there, that makes me think here, because it says that you've gotta call the fire department dispatch.
Right,
I
which
agree
is
with
McLean
that,
County.
but it says and TCEQ. Why do we have to call TCEQ
A lot
if
of
we're
times
gonna do it?
TCQ wants to be notified if, in case somebody's burning plastics or tires that, you know, Thomas drives by or goes and gets a permit, well, he leaves, who knows what they put in there once he leaves.
But they're not supposed to. That's in our
No,
ordinance
they're
too.
not supposed to.
Right.
But, you know, we got
Yeah.
people down here on Old Moody Road that, you know, when they
Right.
burn, you know.
I know I have a place, one of my places is outside the county or outside the city limits, and if I burn out there, all I have to do is call one
If you
number.
Call McLennan County.
Yes, and that's all I have to do.
But, and that's mainly what that's for, is to cover the city in case somebody is burning something they're not supposed to, and it catches more property on fire. Is that right?
If there's not a structure there, if you just have
No,
an open
if-
field and you're just burning brush, where are you gonna display that little permit?
Right, no, the permit's
No,
not the issue.
he's not talking
It's the
about the permit.
TCQ
Yeah, but I mean,
notification.
On that sign.
You can put the, to me, you can put that permit in the dash of your car and, hey, there it is. That's the way I used to, you know,
Yeah.
tell them.
But they talked about they're gonna do away with that. Or the-
But with the TCQ notification is, you know, say Thomas goes by and he inspects, my house, and then he leaves and one of my kids or somebody goes out there and throws a tire and, you know, carpet you're not supposed to burn, sheetrock, plastic, and I'm not there, well, then it catches the neighbor's place on fire because I'm burning something that I'm not supposed to, then TCQ will be enforcement on that.
I think this might be coming from either a statute or maybe just the Texas Administrative Code, but we can definitely look in to see whether or not we need to have that in our ordinance or not. And I'm more than happy to
Right.
get us out of that burden if we can.
About that TCEQ also?
Yes.
I didn't see it in the ordinance where you have to call them. TCEQ.
Oh, okay, it's not in the ordinance.
My thing was, the reason I wanted to talk about it was, it says in the new, in our ordinance for the fire burn, that you have to check with each one of your neighbors and get them to sign off saying it's okay to burn.
If you're burning within 300 feet of your neighbor's structure, yes, you need permission. As a courtesy of a citizen of Bruceville-Eddy, not only are you letting them know, you're actually getting permission. And the reason by that is if they have a building that you're burning near and they have something in there that's extremely flammable or extremely valuable, then as a courtesy to them, let's move your, ma'am?
It's a 300 feet from the structure.
I
Correct.
think it says fire receptors, does it not, on the 300-foot rule?
It's a structure.
Is it structure?
From any structure containing sensitive
Structure
receptors.
containing sensitive receptors.
Yeah. So,
It's out
so,
in the field and there's farther away, you don't have.
so if you're 300 feet away from any structure, then you're fine. You don't have to worry about that.
That's what y'all.
But
do.
if you're burning something and your neighbor's shed is 50 feet from where you're burning, you out of, not only out of courtesy, but now out of the ordinance, you need to notify them and get their permission to burn that close to their structure, so that if they do have something, they can either move it or
Right.
inform you of it.
And that
And-
permission has to be in writing,
Yes, sir.
according to what it says.
And where that's coming from is, we had gentlemen burning, and then the neighbor's trees got singed, and they were upset about it, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's mainly where that's coming from.
That's what, yeah, I
And-
just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
And since I've been here, I've had two applications where before we required it in writing, we just asked, did you get permission? And they said yes. But then when I followed up on it, they did not. So now, just to cover the city, we're asking for it in writing before it even
Yeah.
becomes an issue.
All right.
Okay, one,
But that's currently a part of our ordinance, right?
Yeah. Mr. Wiggins?
okay, and on that, where it talks about that section 9, where it talks about prior to the day you're gonna burn, you know, the city police department must be placed on notice, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think that we should, maybe can do that internally instead of in the time frame. I don't think they need to call our
I
police
don't think
department.
that, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that we can do that internally.
In-house, yeah, in-house.
Instead of having, like I get a permit, you know, maybe for a week from now, well, I shouldn't have to say, okay, let me call the police department the day before I burn and let them know. I've
Okay.
already got to call the fire dispatch and TCEQ. You know, I would think that our city secretary or somebody could, whenever we get a permit, they could notify the police department.
Okay, where is it at on notifying the police department?
Section 9,
In the ordinance itself?
yes, in the
Okay.
ordinance.
And that's what, the reason why we're, I don't have a date set up with the fire chief at this point in time.
Right.
But, he and I do plan to get together and pull the burn permit ordinance, or burn
Right.
ordinance, and just go through it with a fine tooth comb, and we're planning on rewriting a lot of that
Ye-
stuff.
Yes, and that's what Kent said, but he wanted to hear ideas from the council is the way I understood it. And
Okay.
that's what I'm doing, is give you my idea,
Ideas.
is not
Yes,
to
sir.
have that.
Yes, sir.
Because it used to be that we, come and get a burn permit, then, we'd get it and the fire department was notified by in-house. The only
Right.
person I had to notify was my neighbors to let them know I was gonna burn.
I apologize, Mr. Wiggins, I thought you were asking me why was it in there?
No,
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 I
I'm
apologize.
just making
I-
comments here.
I agree,
Yes,
those
sir.
are definitely some things
And
that
one
we
other
need to look
thing
at.
is, on that discussion of, trying to define an open flame, what is gonna be considered an open flame? Is that gonna be, you know, is something that, okay, now I got a hole dug in the ground, kinda like a fire pit, and it's got rocks around it, is that gonna be considered an open flame? Or if I'm burning in a barrel and,
Those are
the
some of the,
barrel, is that considered open flame? I
Barrel
mean,
is an open
the-
flame and it's supposed
those are
to-
some of the questions
I don't-
that we are going to address.
Okay.
The chief, fireman, as well as city administrator, when we sit down and talk about these things, those were some of the things that we wanted, more definition on. What's an open flame, what's a closed flame?
Right.
And as of right now, we are debating back and forth, so I agree that is something that we need a definite, answer to. If I say, is that an open flame, I wanna be able to say, an open flame is, da, da, da,
Right.
da, 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 and a closed flame is. So those are definitely some of the things that we're.
okay,
Good,
okay.
thank you, Mr. Ron.
We'll make
That's
sure
all.
we get that in any ordinance that we bring before you, those definitions squared away, and then we'll let y'all further consider it and discuss it and make amendments as needed.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we're gonna go to 18.
We don't need to table
No,
that,
We was just giving
'Cause it-
suggestions.
cause it said discuss and take action.
We were just,
Oh, no, yeah, that's just kinda covering us.
It was
It's
just
just
kinda,
taking action,
know,
but I'm not requesting any action tonight.
Okay, good deal. I got it.
number 18. Sanitary sewer system, authorization of publication, notice of intention to issue certificates of obligations. Council will discuss, consider, and possibly take action on ordinance 1-5-2023-1 regarding a notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation for the purpose of constructing a sanitary sewer system, including a wastewater treatment plant and collection system. Mr. Bass?
I think we actually did this, what, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
In 2021.
Yeah.
We thought it was about time to start on the sewer. But down the road again, here we are. We need to update it. And that's really all it amounts to is for the $5.8 million loan.
That's correct, and I've got that up on the screen for your
Oh, okay,
reference.
you got it up there, so, I mean, it's just redoing what we've already done.
Done, yeah.
Just to update it.
Something quick, yeah.
Okay, so if y'all wanna discuss it or something, go ahead, and then I'll have to make it.
I'm ready for the motion.
I move that we approve, ordinance number, where is that?
Number 18.
Yeah, 1-52023-1.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, Prater, second. Okay. All in favor of updating the ordinance, 1-5-2023-1 regarding a notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation for the purpose of constructing a sanitary sewer system, including a wastewater treatment plant and collection system. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. 19, maintenance service agreement. That's our copier. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on a request.
To execute agreements and contracts, but it is the council's authority and purview to approve those. So this is kind of one of those minor agreements that we renew on a regular basis, but nonetheless, it is definitely up for review and discussion. So wanted to bring that forward to you. I'll just make a couple comments on this one. Overall, the copier's working out pretty good for us. I would say this about the service team: they are very good, and compared to what I've experienced at my previous job and the previous vendor there. They're very responsive. They come out and they help us out quite a bit. Have we had issues with this printer? You bet. But we're also putting this printer through a whole lot. Some of those have been some driver issues, our computers talking to that printer. I think we've got most of that ironed out. Some things probably just hadn't been touched or addressed in a while. But anyways, it's pretty low cost overall. I think I provided council with how much we're paying on a quarterly basis. They do charge for freight, but they provide all the supplies and the ink on that. Pretty standard for today's office on providing copier services.
Do we actually own the copier?
No, sir, we lease it.
We lease it.
Okay.
Mr. Wiggins?
I'll make the motion that we approve the equipment maintenance agreement for our copier
Okay.
services.
Bass seconds it. Okay, we're made a motion and a second to, have it, to renew the maintenance service agreement with the Texas Office System for the copy service. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, number 20, community announcements. Do we have any announcements at this time?
I got two.
You got two? All right, let's go.
T-ball signups are coming up. They're January 15th, Sunday, January 22nd, Sunday. Both of them are 2 to 4 at the high school gym. And then February 2nd on Thursday, 6 to 8. And February 23rd is on a Thursday also, 6 to 8 at the high school gym. And Bethany Fellowship Church is having a chili fundraiser at Taylor Hall. Chili with all the fixings, dessert and drink, Saturday, January 14th, 4 to 7. So try to come out and support them. It's going to help
Okay.
their church.
All right. Anybody else have any announcements or anything that they would like to, ask about Mr. Bass?
Nobody got anything.
Nobody has
I
anything?
move that we adjourn.
Mr. Bass makes a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, her second that. All in favor? Unanimous. It is now,
I'll have to call you tomorrow.